Okay. To become one of the citizens together. Right, guys, we're continuing with our 11th symposium of 2021. We have our next presenter speaking on his legacy and how it's going to impact future generations, Pastor Simidu. Pastor Simidu, you have the floor.
Thank you. I greet everyone online, particularly the earlier presenter. I want to appreciate the depth of the presentation. Lord bless you in Jesus' name. I want to appreciate the management of AIU University. I want to thank you for extending an invitation to me in particular. I'm honored, and I pray that God will uphold all our lecturers to the end in Jesus' name. My presentation has been forwarded, but I cannot see the slide. I don't know if the slide has been shared.
Just 1 second. If we ask that everybody please mute their mic. Thank you so much.
I cannot see my slide now. I don't know if my slide will be shared. Okay, but before the slide will be shared, oh, fantastic. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Edward Lambert. Okay, I'm Simidu Stephen. Let me just give us a quick background of the presenter. I'm in my late 40s. By the special grace of God, I'm a pastor. I pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, the headquarters at the Redemption Camp. And graciously for over 20 years now, I've been in charge of environmental health activities, the Redeemed Church of God, Redemption Camp. I have my early education in Lorry, Kwara State. I have my secondary school education there and my primary school education. And I graduated. Also have my early education in Oyo State, Ibadan, precisely, where I study environmental health science. I have my HND, ND and HND, National Diploma and Higher National Diploma in Environmental Health Management. That's from Oyo State School of Health Technology in Ibadan. I graduated from there, also proceed to further my education in Oyo State, Lautech, Ladoke Akintola University, where I obtained my postgraduate diploma in environmental health management, area of specialty, public health. Also, I did my master's in Ladoke Akintola University, where I obtained my master's degree in environmental health management. And that's that. And also, at the special grace of God, I'm a student of AIU University, where I'm presently studying occupational health and safety and environment, doctorate degree. Quick background to my Christian faith. I knew the Lord at very early stage of my life, where I served the Lord in the capacity of the workers in the church. And from there, I grew up to become a minister of God in the Redeemed Christian Church of God, where I am serving up to this moment by the special grace of God. I've been in charge of environmental health activities of the church, like I said, for over 20 years now. And that is a big legacy that I want to give back to my environment at large, that the good work can continue from where we are at the moment. I want to go into the talk. My legacy. my legacy for my word to follow even after our departure. And as we all know, what is legacy? What is legacy? I believe legacy is all about life and living and caring. Life, living, and caring about our world, particularly during our lifetime. How do we care about this present life? We are not the owner of this life. This life where we are not the owner of our life. So how do we live our life? Very, very important. Someone invested so much in us. We have moral faith, we have moral education, exposure to a moral way of life, and we all grew up having understanding that we need to live aright. That's why we are being governed by rules and regulations. So our life must give a meaning to our world. Our life must impact our world positively. So when we live our life, our life should be a unique to other people's in our immediate environment, in our society at large. So what does it mean to leave a legacy? What does it mean to leave a legacy? I'm going to buttress my point. The slide I sent is not the one that's being shared now. No, I'm going to limit my area of discussion to what I project to give back to my world before my departure from this world. That's all about legacy. What you are to give back to your world before you leave this world. Your life should be an institution that other people can, go through. Other people can as well study the proper way of living. And that's the area I want to buttress. So I'm going to pick major areas of legacy and believing God. I've started in the past 20 years. Like I said, I've been coordinating activities of environmental health. And by the special grace of God, I serve as a zonal pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. Also as an evangelist coordinating about 23 provinces. So I have capacity of destiny around me that I'm believing God that my life should impact their lives positively. So I have listed few areas I'm going to buttress my point upon. Number one, I want to believe to create a legacy, having enough fund for my children. While growing up in my early stage, my father, served in Afribank in Nigeria here as a driver. He served, so, there are difficulties, trials at that early stage of my life that my father could not afford to pay for my school fees. So I had to struggle, do all necessary media job to sponsor myself and my residents. Even after his retirement, he had retired now over 20 years ago. After his retirement, I had to struggle that no. He had done the little he could, in his own little ability and capacity, But I foresaw that I have a glorious future. So I venture into a lot of media job to ensure that my dreams comes to fulfillment, to ensure that what I believe that the idea, the capacity I believe that God has given to me, can come to reality if I forge ahead to study, if I forge ahead to advance my knowledge and acquire more information, and graciously God helped me that personally he took my singular effort and the effort of others to get myself be sponsored, or through the education I've acquired up to this moment, and my younger ones. Why? Because I want to give birth to my own. I wouldn't want the talent, the idea, the capacity that God has endowed in me to just die like that. So I've pinpointed areas that I want to impart my word before leaving this world. First and foremost, I talked about fund. I want to ensure that I impart the destiny of the children God has given to me. My biological children, family, associates around me, people that come in contact with my destiny one way or the other. I plan to leave behind a legacy, of an inheritance to my children. Not only houses, talking about building capacity in them, ensure that I sponsor them, to acquire the necessary education, sponsor them to ensure that they, see the light, their dream sees the light of the day, And number two, at the moment where I work at the moment, there are some students that comes around for practical experience, on an area of specialties. We serve as an environmental health practitioner within the infrastructure of the church, managing the solid waste, biodegradable waste, non-biodegradable waste, biomedical waste. Talks about pest control, vector control, decontamination, disinfection, generally. So we add students from other colleges coming around for practical experience. We expose them for the necessary knowledge that they require to align their curriculum, even before going back to school. So I have planned that before I leave this world, I should be able to sponsor as many students that desire to acquire knowledge, to have basic education. So education is expensive, and all students appreciate, anything that's lighting their financial burden. Several people.
Okay, we seem to have a technical difficulty right now with the microphone for Pastor Simidu Stephen. So we will continue in a moment with the presentation. So his point number 2 would be to restore a historical building. And you can read on the screen what he has written here. So legacy is conserving buildings from the past. Yes, he has left. His connection was disconnected. So we're just going to have to wait for him to come back. So it'll be 1 second. If anybody has any questions or comment in the meantime. But we can run through a little bit of some of the points that he was talking about. First was funded trust. Hello?
Yes, Doctor. My name is James Kinto from Kampala.
Please.
I had a quick comment to make that we have been seated for the last 5 hours. Given this kind of adult education, would we use this as an opportunity to have like 5 minutes of stretching our limbs so we can concentrate on the remaining ones?
That is fine. Do you want to just relax and stretch? And maybe just leave your speaker on too.
Okay.
Because we have a continual, we don't really have a break, but we'll have breaks in between presenters.
Yeah, we thought that after a few hours of sitting in one place, we would have some 5 to 10 minutes of a shower.
Sorry, the network just disappoints at the moment. Can we all hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you now, Pastor Simidu Stephen.
Thank you so much. So, like I said, I have plan of raising sponsorship partner to ensure that as many that desire to have basic education are exposed to that and are given that opportunity, And part of my research for this presentation also, I've studied my environment. A lot of people are having problem with exposure to basic medical opportunity. Where I pastor, there's what we extend to our community members and our congregants. We call it CSR project, that's Christian Corporate Responsibility, where we ensure that as many that are less privileged, come around. We have what we call food banks. We have hospital facilities to ensure that they are exposed to amenities are needed. Basic medical amenities are need to be extended across to them. So we try to advocate that partners comes around to join efforts and contribute their own quota to elevate incidence of diseases and people that are suffering because of lack of money and because of poverty. So I have planned to also ensure that I create a legacy in that area, even while alive and after my departure from this world. Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay. Now, if you look, thank you, Dr. But okay, the next slide. Sponsoring
Steve, which slide do you want?
Yeah, yes, it's okay. Sponsoring a park bench or playground. We all know that relaxation is very, very important. And in an area of, if anyone have come around to our environment here, particularly in West Africa, Sahara area of West Africa, we know that our environments are much polluted. So I have planned, having a park where people can go around and relax, where we'll have tree planting across such a park, where fresh air can be gotten, where a little world can have time to as well relax and play around. So these are the areas of my focus. Also, I have planned as a legacy to give to my world, starting a tree planting program. As an environmental health practitioner who know the benefit of clean air, I would like to plant trees in my community to cool down the hot urban streets, create habitat for animals, and cleanse pollution from the air. So you could imagine a polluted environment where we have industrialized activities going on, where emission of pollutants are, discharged at interval in an environment. So planting of trees, to guide against deforestation, to encourage afforestation, can neutralize the impact of pollutant particulate matters discharged to our environment. So also, I have planned of living an authentic life. Part of this are what our earlier presenters have said. The reason why we are having a lot of contention, a lot of people living an abusive life is because people are not living an authentic life. As a father, as a leader, I want to live an authentic life. I want to live a life that will, align my profession, value, into the life of others, that other people can copy. because I believe this will give others the courage to start through, and, to be true to themselves and to start living a truthful life as God has been helping one as well to live. Also, I would love to, have a legacy in an area of what, having what I call a journal, a book that will outlive me, a book that other people can go through, and the impacts that I've contributed can be felt even during my lifetime and after my departure. As a preacher of the word, I'll be graciously able to publish 2 books and 2 other ones still, in the press, making 4. One of the books is Defensive Mechanism, the prayer, spiritual books for as many that want to know how to pray a defensive prayer. This book is available. Also, I'll be able to publish a book called Prayer Books for as many that who want to enhance their way of life, their Christian way of life. Also, in my area of professionalism, we'll be able to contribute my own quota to the body of West Africa Postgraduate College of Environmental Health, where I'm one of the fellow of the college, in the area that I be able to contribute my own quota to impart my profession. So these are my area, and vigorously we're working to ensure that all these dreams comes to life, come to the limelight of my desire, to see even while still alive. So the details of day-to-day life will facilitate my descendants. My journal entry for video, books, messages, audio recorded messages, picture can build a connection between me and my descendant that remains strong even when I've gone. So my activities, I believe I want to put it into a journal that will outlive me, a journal that will become an institution, that will become, a mirror that other people can look into, and I believe that we encourage the younger ones coming and our future generation. Also, one of the areas that I'm so passionate about is the area of youth. The youth between the age of 15 to 25 years of age. We call those set of people the youth, which is our present generation. Also the teenagers between the age of 11 to 15, 16, how to catch them young. We need to put in place programs that we, encourage these young ones to, imitate a better way of life, which is going to reduce crime in an environment. In my present area of work and my jurisdiction of studying my activities here, we have a template, where our youth comes around to display their talent. And majority of these youths that come around to display their talent, you see capacity in them, you see ideas, you see glorious ideas in the life of so we gave them templates, we gave them platform where they can display the idea. So I want to focus more that my legacy to impart the life of this younger generation is being fed. So also another area that I'm bringing my commitment into is a commitment to my family, enthusiastically. My family enthusiastically, I want to ensure that my family, when I say my family, I'm talking about my immediate family. I'm a father of 3, and I have a lot of other siblings. I want to maintain a steady relationship with my spouse and also meeting the needs of my children. I value my family. So I believe if a family is being valued as a father, you embrace responsibility. As mother, you embrace responsibility. You give these children the knowledge, basic knowledge they need to know the way of the Lord. You expose them to the moral way of living. This will give them self-esteem, of way of living. This will also bring unison to the entire family member. So the self-esteem of my family members will stay stronger when they know that I will be there for them always. Serve, willingly for them as a father. Also, another area that I vigorously, driven my attention, driven my focus, and my commitment to is what I call do good deed. Do good deed. We have in our assembly a group of people that we cater for. We call them the orphans and the aged one, the elderly one, and the widows. So I love extending up hand of welfareism. I have a group of people that comes together to extend welfareism hands. Not everyone can make a memorable splash with multiple, multi-billion-dollar donation, but a life feed with small act of kindness will leave your mark on the wall. So not everybody will be able to give multi-billion-dollar contribution. But what we are saying is that just a square meal given to somebody, just an encouragement, just $100, $200 given to somebody goes a long way. And that is the legacy I have started. In my assembly, I have a group of people that we call partner, people that take care of the widows, people that take care of the orphans, people that take care of the less privileged ones, all these people, the elderly ones that are lonely, we ensure that our contribution, is driven to impact the life of these people. Very, 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 very important. Very, very important. Another area of my commitment is what I call voluntary service. Voluntary service to my community. I want to take time to explain this. Voluntary service. My environment here, the redemption camp, we have over 40,000 people that residing here permanently, excluding when we have a national program that millions of people come all over the world, to grace our religious activities there. Now, to manage over 40,000 people every day, so we need to partner with the institution around here, the secondary school, the primary schools, the NGO. We partner with them to ensure that we raise a club of environmental health practitioners, people that can, carry out what we call health awareness, health promotion, health education amongst the children, what they need to do, how to live an hygienic life, how to live an healthy life, how to live, a life without threats to yourself and threat to your immediate environment. So voluntary service, I plan to always volunteer myself, to raise volunteers as well, to support, any ongoing work in my community. And what are these ongoing work? Ensure that the drainages are being cleared of junks and debts, ensure that we have access to, potable water, ensure that we have, prompt management of waste, either sewage, garbage, rubbish. We have partners that come around to support in this area. We've given them that template, and I personally involved. I will have, I don't know that we'll be allowed to add pictures. I will have had few pictures of our various activities of what we do over here. So all community have ongoing volunteers, opportunity, build a legacy by being someone who always shows up. So whenever calls for supporting the cause of community service, we should be available. We should be involved. We should give a platform where people as well can serve. Is very, very, very important. Now, another area which I vigorously, that's what led me to forge ahead in acquiring knowledge, is develop my career. Develop my career. In my office here, I have over 45 workers, and we ensure that every blessed month we throw a challenge to ourselves. What are we going to achieve at the end of this month? What will be our achievement at the end of this month? Every one of us, we work together as a team. We set a target for ourselves, what other people will come around and copy. And that's what led me to, want to acquire more knowledge. And today, I'm grateful that I'm one of the students of AIU University. The pursuit of my new credentials, knowledge will help me attain a higher position. I want to be able to influence my field by improving my techniques and standard and monitoring new talent. So people coming around me, I want to be able to impart them one way or the other. About a few weeks ago, students from colleges of health technologies, over 16 of them came around for 3 weeks technical or industrial training, exposing them to aerobic pond, how we manage our sewage environment here. We expose them to our water dam, how the water is being treated, from the generating point, the treatment point, and this, supplying point, and how we manage our biomedical waste through the use of what we call galvanized incineration plant. All these are facilities that we expose them to. Why? Because we've had a basic training. We ensure that in our various colleges of health technologies, we have a platform and a synergy where future officers are brought in and they are being trained. These are areas that I passionately, improving myself, and I want to give that, future opportunity for my future generation, the generation yet unborn. Now, another area that's my legacy, believing God that my legacy will outlive me, is what I call workplace improvements. Workplace improvements. Workplace improvements. As a leader and environmental health practitioner, I want to create a workable environment for my subordinates, improving workplace relationship, and also address safety hazard in workplace. We know that healthy environment, healthy working environment will enhance our productivity. I want to ensure that all my staff, and that's what I've been doing, that they have a conducive environment where they can work. I want to ensure that people that come around, comes around with ease, they can discharge their duty. People like to complain about their job, but you could focus on solving problems. Instead, as a leader, as someone that his legacy must outlive him, you should be providing solution. Like one of the presenters said, earlier, if you can provide solution to the issues of life, to challenges of people, definitely you'll be needed. So you might, spearhead a leadership program, address safety hazard, or develop, efficient alternatives to wasteful practices. So these are what we'll be doing here, and we are given a platform for future generation to as well follow. And also, one of the area that I would love to leave a legacy behind is what I call organized family reunion. My dad will be 78 by January next year. I had to invite him because of the nature of my job. I could not travel, to meet him at home. I had to invite him to my location here on the redemption camp. Presently is somewhere far away from where I am. So I invited him and my mom. I said, come around, come and spend some time with him. And they spent about 2 months. I asked questions. I asked about how he started his early life. I asked about his belief. I asked about the challenges he had faced in life. And I could see, that the complaint, the health challenge that they had been, complain about within the 2 months that he stayed with me with my mom. There are less complaint. I saw that he could relax. I saw that he was so healthier than before he came around. So family reunion could as well help your legacy, help imparting other people's life. Like in my write-up here, I said, your relative will value the effort that you put into organizing annual gatherings. You can foster new family traditions and provide a venue that helps, aunts, uncles, and cousins forge lifelong bond. Now, I like I said, when my father came around for about 2 months, and my mom, questions that I could not even believe that my dad could provide answers. He gave answers. I asked about a lot of proverbs. I asked about a lot of when he was in his 30s, what are the sports, what are the various type of meal. He told me that, he said, as at that time, there is nothing like deforestation. They enjoy, fresh vegetable. People live longer because people eat, good diets. And this improve the health of people in their generation. The reason why people are dying younger now is because of our diets, the kind of environment we expose ourselves to, impact of deforestation on our way of life. So, and I noted all this down before he left back to his station. He'll be marking his 78 years birthday by January next year. So organizing family reunion can as well help and bring unison to the bond of the family. Now, another area that I believe in God that my legacy will outlive me is what I call employer of labor. It has been my advocacy since I've been employed that I want to be an employer of labor. I want to, alleviate poverty in my environment. I want to extend acts of love to somebody. So you could give someone a chance and extend a job offer that could pave the way for that person to build a better life. In my office, there are a lot of staff that one way or the other, God has helped us to employ. And today, some of them have married, some of them, they have children, some of them, through the efforts that we've contributed into their life, meal on their table. Even that first job you give to a teenager, to more learns to put a person on the path to a responsible life. Like I said, I remember one of the staff that came around for 6 months internship, and after the internship, we assessed our performance was so excellent. Today, she is the one coordinating the administrative work of the department. Why? Because we discover her talents, we encourage her talent, and today, she's fulfilling her destiny. So it's very, very important if you have that capacity as a leader, give back to your environment. That person that you employ today may be the one that will help your children in the nearest future. And that's the essence of our living. Now, also, another area that I pointed down here, that I believe in God that my impact will be felt even before my departure from this world. Donation to a domestic violence shelter. If you have gone through the social media, you've seen a lot of building collapse. There's one that happened in Lagos the day before yesterday, that a lot of people were trapped down. I was listening to news a few hours ago, how people were crying. Some of them, they just went there to do one or linear job, just to sustain their family. Now, probably the breadwinner of the family had gone. So where I was listening to the news, I said, God, how will these people continue to survive? So I have passion that people that are suffering from because of the disaster that occur, fire outbreak, and they are homeless today, people that are jobless, people that lack basic amenities, how I need to impact those people's life. So those who suffer abuse behind closed door, often have nobody to run to. So your donation, my donation of money, time, supplies, or even real estate to a charity, could help people escape from domestic violence. We serve as a hand up to those living in fear. Like I said, these are my area of focus, and I'm believing God that will surely come through. We've started in our own little way. We have what we call orphanage home. We call it holistic outreach in our organization here. And in the little assembly where I pastor, we will ensure that every month we extend hands of love to this orphanage home. People that are motherless, people that have been abused in school, now they have children, probably they were raped, or they are influenced negatively, now they are drug addicts. We have a template in our own assembly where we contribute our own little quarter, to extend to these people, and we organize a prayer section for them. So another area that I so much love, and my staff do that, is respect others. Even if I can give back to you, you see me respecting you. So I respect others whenever it is possible. I am willing to meet others on an equal footing, as this is liable to nurture kindness and gratitude in them. So I ensure that anyone that comes on my way, respect is reciprocal. You want to be respected, you want to be loved, then show love, show kindness. Definitely, whatever a man should, that's what he will reap. Not only that, he will reap more than what he has sown. And before I will be calling it a day, is an area that I do or minding at interval. I'm not activist, but I'm a Jesus activist. Fight and injustice. I do that with all the blood that God has given me in my bloodstream. I ensure that injustice will not determined to fight for justice, to correct any injustice inflicted on the person or community, not minding the race or the gender. You can see that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he fought for injustice and his legacy outliving. Today, we are seeing generations that are appreciating his effort, even after he had departed. I want my legacy to outlive me by fighting for an injustice. There are several quotes that I put here, as I'll be calling it a date in my write-up. I said the following quotes, among many others, are my takes on leaving a legacy for future generations. We must begin thinking like a river if we are to leave a legacy of beauty and life for future generations. This is a quote by David Blower. We must begin to think like a water if we are to leave a legacy for a beautiful and a future generation. Water has no enemy. Water has no enemy. What you can't live without water. So we must begin to live our life as water. Also, the choices we make about the lives we live determine the kinds of legacies we will leave behind. The choices we make today about our way of life will determine the kind of legacies we will leave behind. Very, very important. Also, I have a wonderful quote here that I want every listener to please listen and embrace that. I know we are all professionals, we are all leaders. What we carry determines who we are, and the effort we make is our legacy. What we carry determines who we are, and the effort we make is our legacy. Like I told you, I knew within me that if I didn't study, I would die poor. I knew within me, if I didn't try to forge ahead, to pave way for my younger ones, I knew what stopped the destiny of my father. We want to stop my destiny towards denial of access to education, because his father could not give him, a better education. He could not forge ahead to achieve his dream. But today, what my father could do, God has helped us to do that today. Also, that's a quote by Miss Adbrook. Do you want to be remembered for the money you have made or the life you live? Do you want to be remembered by the money you have made, or for the money you have made, or the life you live? Rich Norton said that. Do you want to be remembered with the enormous money, with the enormous establishments that you have made up today, or the life you live? The life you live will determine the legacy that you've given to your world. Another quote here by Stifford. Strive to leave a legacy beyond your limitation and far beyond the expectation of others. Strive to leave a legacy beyond your expectation, beyond your limitation, and far beyond the expectation of others. Don't allow what anyone is saying to stop you. Don't allow the failure of today to stop you. As long as you are alive, the future is assured. As long as you are alive, the future is assured. Leaving a legacy example is very, very important. Another quote here, as I'll be rounding it up. A fool is a man who disregards legacy. A fool is a man who disregards legacy, by David Campbell. A fool is a man who disregards legacy. So legacy, very, very important, powerful word that we must at interval reflect upon. Am I on the right track in this world? Am I, imparting my word positively, or am I imparting my word negatively? Life is a journey. Life, lived rightly is a journey that other people will want to follow through that journey. But life that is wrongly lived could be disastrous, could be a journey that leads others to damnation. Finally, don't just build a career, build a legacy. Don't just build a career, build a legacy. Please, can you go to my slide 30 and 31 as I close? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Slide 30. Thank you. Thank you. Slide 30 here, like I said earlier, this is not the slide I sent. These are the slides I've initially sent a few months ago. But I want to just paraphrase this. The alternative current available in your electrical output came from the genius of inventor Nikola Tesla, the Serbian's migrant to the United States, invented the primary infrastructure that runs the entity of the modern electricity. So someone made his legacy, Nikola Tesla. He made his legacy in Serbians. He made his legacy in the United States of America. You as a person can make your legacy. I as a person can make a legacy. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Pastor, for that presentation and all those ways that we can leave a legacy. The presentation was most of the time, so there's not a lot of time for questions, but is there anything else that you want to add that maybe wasn't on the slides or other people that have inspired you as far as legacy is concerned?
Thank you so much. There's several things that is not on the slide. I want to appreciate Dr. Lambert. The area that I omitted is an area of ensure that promotion of cultural tradition. Promotion of cultural tradition. I'm believing that I'm in Nigeria, and I know on this platform we have people from various nations of the world, so we should promote cultural tradition where, there wouldn't be differences in our belief. There wouldn't be differences in our way of relations to each other. Beautiful cultural tradition include music, dancing, languages, crafts, cooking, and much more. If you possess cultural knowledge, start a class or a club that can transfer the skill to the next generation. I want AIU to promote, promotion of cultural tradition. Let there be probably the curriculum, to build up a curriculum where, relationship will be established within the cultural tradition. Thank you so much for the opportunity to deliver this presentation. Thank you.
Yes, I think you did very well in presenting. So often people feel that a legacy has to do with money, and we see here that there are several other ways, like speaking up for the voiceless, like respect, that people can share their legacy. We do have actually a couple of minutes. We have 10 minutes. I see Maureen has her hand raised. Maureen, did you have a question? You can unmute your mic.
Yeah, I do not have any question. I just endorse what's presented. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. Is there somebody else that had a question? Given, you had a question?
Yes, I do. I do, Doc. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Excellent. Thanks. Now, firstly, I just want to acknowledge that it was indeed quite an excellent presentation. Well articulated, and quite informative. Thanks for that one. And mine is not to ask a question, but rather to comment. Just wish to comment on a number of issues that the presenter has just raised. I agree with him that it is indeed quite important that we continue to create legacy as a way of life. I agree with that one. Over and above the need to determine the types of legacies to leave behind for future generations to come. I also agree with that point. It's quite an excellent point. Alongside the notion of volunteering for causes, social causes and causes that are concerned with community upliftment out there. I think that one is quite indeed a very important point. But also I wish to add that it is important that we realize that one important aspect of variable in that equation of volunteering is that of sacrificing. There is always an element of sacrifice. If we are to effect change, we therefore need to ready ourselves to make sure that we render some kind of sacrifice, to change the status quo. That one was a good one as well. And the notion of fighting injustice, indeed, we have a responsibility to see that we fight what is unjust, to make sure that we recreate the existing world into a peaceful and a just world. And also the question of the legacy examples that you made mention of, that we need to leave behind for future generations. The last point is the one that I want to comment on, is when you said that there is a need to enthusiastically commit to our families as a point of departure. I agree 100% on that one, I just want really to emphasize on that one. Because I remember even Mother Teresa once made mention of the fact that it is quite impossible that we could even think of changing the world if we cannot change the state of circumstances in our own families. How on earth we can even really dream of ensuring peace, justice, and strong institutions, in the world, when we cannot solve conflicts in our own homes, when we cannot ensure that there is justice that actually prevails in terms of relations within our own homes, and as well as to ensure that we strengthen, our family, as an institution in its own right. So on that note, I agree fully that indeed, if we are serious about changing the world for the better, we need to start from home. In short, charity starts at home. I agree with you on that one. It was indeed quite an excellent presentation. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. I think you are correct. We've seen that a lot in all of the presentations today, that they all took their own experiences and what helped them grow. And then we're able to take that knowledge and take that motivation and duplicate it with the youth, duplicate it with single moms, duplicate it with family. So I think you're 100% correct. Thank you for sharing. We have one more question. Magu, are you available? You can unmute your mic and ask your question. Magu? We also have a question from Moses. Moses, you can unmute your mic and ask a question.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, you get me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much for the symposium. I especially thank Pastor, the Reverend, and You know, the presentation is very nice by taking the challenge in terms of correlating the spiritual job and the environmental job is a challenging issue. My question here is, how can he correlate the environmental job into the impact in the life of the followers in churches?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. How I need to harness environmental health services to enhance the life of my congregants. Fantastic. Yeah. If you know much about the Redeemed Church of God, our leader, Pastor E.A. Adeboye, is an advocate of cleanliness, and is one of the fellow of West Africa Pusgaye College of Environmental Health, where I'm one of the fellow of the college. Is one of the honorary fellow members. No, so the impacts of the church, the impacts that the environmental health services have, had over the church members is great. We have volunteers in our local assembly from our respective parishes to the area, to the zone, to the province, and to the international world, advocating on cleanliness. This group of people comes around to ensure that activities of sanitation is being attended to, ensure that littered waste are collected at interval, ensure that the entire environment are being disinfected against viruses, bacteria, protozoa, and vector of disease, in an environment. So we at interval, given create a platform where our people can be taught on what is essential and what is expected of our member, particularly when we are having programs that millions of people will come together to converge for a week-long program, for 2 weeks long program. We educate them on what they need to do, how to sanitize, even before the COVID outbreak, COVID-19 outbreak, how to sanitize the environment, how to disinfect the environment, how to ensure that waste is being collected to the appropriate point, at interval. So the church the environmental health services had greatly improved the life of our members, and the people around the world. Thank you so much, Mr. Moses.
Thank you so much, Pastor.
Yeah, thank you. And I have another one.
Okay, let's make it quick because we have 2 minutes. We have 2 minutes for the next presentation.
There's just 2 minutes, just a short question. Climate change and global issue that is affecting the whole world in terms of deforestation and all that thing. As an environmentalist, and we look at the global pandemic that is affecting a lot of people, what are the strategies that they use to tackle the challenges of climate change in the globe?
Thank you so much, Mr. Moses, for that. The climate change, we all know that the effect is affecting the whole world, and that's why we have flood all around the world. Now, what we'll be able to do in our own area is that we discourage deforestation. We discourage burning. We ensure that afforestation, we ensure that trees are being planted at interval. We ensure that, waste in particular, garbage, we ensure that waste are not being burnt. Waste are being segregated and recycled. So this is our area of advocacy, that in our various community will plant trees. If you plant trees, that will give, oxygen to the environment, and that's where emit particulate matters, carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide, in an environment. Carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide in an environment. So this tree planting will, mitigate the impact of climatic effects in an environment, and discouragement of people from cutting down trees. And where trees are being cut down, there should be afforestation. There should be planting of trees immediately. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor, for sharing that and for everybody's questions and participations. We're very honored to have you as part of AIU. So, Edward, we can stop recording on this one.